It was past 4:30 p.m. The sun in Minnesota is unforgiving at this hour. It retreats, leaving behind a sky the color of blue and purple bruises. The cold winds of Lake Superior began to brush against our faces, but the warmth of freedom made us indifferent to the chill. "Michael, are you sure?" Zach asked, dribbling the ball between his feet, his eyes gleaming with a strange flicker. "Didn't you say your mom would be angry if you were late?" I replied with a forced indifference, though my heart tightened with worry for my sick mother at home. "She's asleep. She won't notice I'm gone. Let's just have some fun." We didn't know that this decision was the first thread in the shroud of that night. Josh, the most reckless among us, suggested an idea that made the blood freeze in my veins. "Since we have time, let's go into the old school building, the abandoned St. Jude's Academy." The school sat on a hill overlooking the lake, a massive stone structure from the last century, closed 20 years ago after a series of incidents that no one dared to name clearly. They say screams can still be heard there when the lake mist rises. When we arrived, the silence was so heavy I could hear my friend's heartbeats. John, who had been quiet the whole way, suddenly stopped. "Michael, look at that window on the 3rd floor." I looked up. Behind the grimy, broken glass, I saw a shadow that didn't look human. It was tall, thin, and moving so slowly it seemed to be swimming in the air. The shadow vanished, and the main door of the school creaked open with a force that shook the ground, as if the school itself had decided to invite us in. We froze. The words on the chalkboard were shaking before my eyes as if they were alive. "Michael, your mother will never wake up." The letters dripped with a black fluid that looked like ink, but it smelled of death. "This is a sick joke, Josh, right?" Zach said, his voice trembling. But Josh was as pale as ash, his eyes fixed on the end of the dark corridor. Suddenly, our phone flashlights flickered and died all at once. A pitch-black darkness descended, so heavy I felt I was suffocating. In that silence, a crocked, childish laugh erupted from the old intercoms on the ceiling, speakers that hadn't been connected to power in 20 years. "Guys, where are you?" I screamed, fumbling against the cold walls. John and Zach replied, but John's voice never came. I pulled out my small lighter. As I flicked it on, the feeble light cast distorted shadows. Josh and Zach were there, but the spot where John had stood was empty. Nothing remained of him but his ball rolling slowly toward the basement, as if pulled by an invisible hand. We followed the ball into the basement. In the center of the room, on a lone wooden chair, sat John's shirt, torn and soaked in fresh blood. Next to it was a note written in red. "Sin begins with forgetting. Your father was here, Michael. He is the one who locked the door on me." I backed away as a cold blade pressed against my neck. It was Josh, but his face was distorted, his eyes bleeding black ink. He whispered, "Your father wasn't just a janitor, Michael. He was the jailer. He trapped the children here to protect the village from the lake's wrath." Josh shoved me into a hidden dissection room. There, I found John hanging like a sacrifice, his body covered in ancient runes. In the center was a massive mirror reflecting my home. I saw my mother in her bed, but a shadowy entity was wrapping its long fingers around her throat, draining her life. "To let your mother live, the ritual must be completed," the entity hissed from the mirror. "Your father fled and died before his final offering, and you are the sole heir to his blood." I realized the grim truth. My mother's illness wasn't natural. It was a leash to drag me here. The school wasn't haunted by ghosts. It was a gateway that fed on the blood of those who betrayed the pact with Lake Superior. I looked at the dying John, the maddened Josh, and the fading image of my mother. I grabbed the knife Josh had dropped. The entity screamed, "Kill your friend, and I will give your mother a new life." But I spotted my father's old journal in the corner. I flipped to the last page. "If the darkness demands blood, do not give it the blood of the innocent. Give it the heart of the jailer." The solution wasn't to kill my friends, but to end the lineage. I looked at the mirror, and instead of stabbing John, I plunged the knife into my own chest, right over the family crest on the wall. The school let out a scream that shook Minnesota. The walls began to crumble, and the shadows melted back into the depths of the lake. At that moment, my mother woke up gasping, her illness completely gone, but she felt a sting in her heart, as if a piece of it had been ripped away forever. In the morning, the police found John and Josh unconscious in the hallway, remembering nothing. As for me, they found no trace. Locals say if you pass by the abandoned school at 4 p.m., you can hear the sound of a ball hitting the walls and a boy's voice calling out, "Don't go, the game isn't over yet." I had become the new jailer, the eternal prisoner who paid the price for his father's sins so that his mother could live. My soul remains trapped in the dark halls of St. Jude's forever. This happened when I was in high school. There was an all-girls private school on the edge of town, right off 3rd Street. Everyone knew about it. Everyone avoided it after dark. My friends and I weren't into ghosts or demons or any of that stuff. We just liked danger, doing things we weren't supposed to do, testing limits. One night, my friend Mike looked at me and said, "Let's go to the school." I laughed. "At night? You're insane." He said he meant late, after sunset, maybe around 8 or 9. I told him no. My grandfather lived right across from the school, and he'd warned me my whole life. That place isn't empty at night. Mike brushed it off. "Old people say stuff like that to scare you." I hesitated. Then he called me scared. That was enough. By the end of the day, there were 5 of us. Me, Mike, Alex, Ryan, and Mary. Mary was my closest friend. She knew when something was wrong with me before I even said a word. During class, she noticed I couldn't focus. "What are you hiding?" she asked. I told her. Her face went pale. "That school is not normal," she said. "People have seen lights moving inside, shadows, doors slamming." I admitted I'd seen it too, from my grandfather's window, lights flicking on and off, shapes moving where no one should be. She didn't laugh. After class, she said, "If you're going, I'm coming." At night, we met up, phones on silent, no parents knowing where we were. We climbed the back wall. The gate was unlocked. That should have been the first sign. Inside, the police felt wrong. The air was heavy. Sound didn't travel right. Our footsteps echoed too loud, then not at all. We walked the hallways joking nervously. Someone whispered "boo" as a joke. Then I wandered off. I don't know why, I just felt pulled. From the stairwell window, I saw 2 people standing in the courtyard below. I thought it was Mary and Mike. I ran down. No one was there. When I finally found my friends again, they swore they hadn't moved. They said they watched me running down the hallway, calling my name. I told them I hadn't run. That's when the lights started flickering. Lockers slammed by themselves. Desks scraped across classroom floors. We checked the time, 8:35 p.m. We decided to leave. That's when we heard the scream. Mary! We couldn't find her anywhere. Then we saw her, on the roof, waving. But I knew deep down that wasn't her. We searched every room except one place, the bathrooms. The air inside was freezing. The lights barely worked. Something grabbed at our legs in the dark. We found Mary, collapsed on the floor. We dragged her out and ran. Outside, none of us spoke. Eventually, Alex grabbed me and said, you knew something was wrong with that place. I told them everything I told Mary. They stopped talking to me after that night. Mary refused to go near the school ever again. But me? Sometimes when I walk past 3rd Street late at night, I feel something pulling me back, like the school didn't finish with me. And next time, I don't think it'll let me leave. A week passed. No nightmares, no lights, no sounds. Until one night, I heard footsteps outside my room. Slow, barefoot. I told myself it was my imagination. Then I smelled it, that same damp, rotten smell from the school bathrooms. My bedroom door creaked open. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Something stepped inside. I felt warm air against my ear, and a girl's voice whispered, "You left me."